Hey everybody, Andrew Gable here. So I want to share my experience after 1 year of being in the NFT space and if I think it's a good space to be in as an artist, what potentials do I see as an artist, just sharing my experience. I initially moved into the NFT space because I saw a market where I could sell my art. Now, I'm either uploading my art onto my website and trying to sell it, or I'm uploading it onto different art sites. So what's the difference between doing that and uploading it onto OpenSea and selling it like that? So for me, it was like there's a market potential and I wanted to explore that and test it for myself, because people can speculate all they want and say it does or doesn't work, but until you actually test it for yourself, you're never going to know. It might work for you, it might not work for someone else. So I would say go ahead and test it if you're curious, and see for yourself, right? Do the real research. I have bought in probably, I don't know, between 30 and 50 NFTs, maybe more. So I'm going to share my experience around that too, what I observed from different collections. So for me as an artist, it was research, right? I wanted to buy into these collections to understand how different people were promoting themselves or what they were doing utility-wise. It was a great vantage point to see how these companies were actually functioning and what they were doing. So firstly, like I said, I got into the NFT space to sell my own artwork. I've been a fine artist for the last 9 years, creating and selling original one-of-one sculptures through galleries. I've studied painting and drawing and then got into carving later on. I got into the NFT space because I wanted to expand as an artist. I wanted to test this new market. I think for me, I'm always looking at different possibilities and potentials as an artist so that I can thrive and really create something meaningful for myself as an artist. So I created my own collection. That was always my intention, and that still is my intention. My play in the NFT space as an artist, as a fine artist, is not flipping. I'm not here to flip. I mean, yes, I've invested in projects, but it was easy for me to do it because there was an educational element there for me where I could learn and see what other people were doing. So I created my own collection. It's called Gable Moods. My project is an art forward project. I had no audience. I just did it because I wanted to build my audience slowly as I released my work. That was part of my marketing strategies. I'm creating and I'm sharing. This is my process. Here's the actual artworks I'm creating. And they were all one-of-ones, and my goal was to create 100. And I started that project about 10 months ago, after about 2 months of being in the NFT space. And I've sold 90% of the collection, and I've created 76 pieces out of 100 was my first, big milestone goal. Some of them took like an hour. Some of them took even less than that. Some of them took over 10 hours to create. So it just depends on the feel of the day and the artwork that I'm working on. But I wanted them to be one-of-one, all unique, because that for me is just what I was used to, and that's where I was starting. I'm starting with my own art, with right where I'm at. And I've been doing all those digitally, so I jumped into doing digital art also. It's something I've been wanting to transition into more. There's so many amazing artists, and this is one awesome thing about the NFT space is I've been opened up to so many incredible artists doing so many different kinds of art that I would have never been exposed to if I just stayed in the traditional art world space. I have much deeper appreciation. I always liked digital art. Like I always looked at some digital art and I'm like, there's some serious talent, in artists doing digital art. That was one thing that's been really cool. I've really enjoyed that and have welcomed that influence in my own work. My own practice is just seeing all these digital artworks from, just 2D drawings to 3D artists, video artists. So the NFT space has really opened up my perspective on getting to see different kinds of art. Even poetry is in the NFT space. Love it. People making videos, like content creators could now monetize. Like what was considered a content creator before, where you have someone just making like videos and putting them on TikTok, you can now take that seriously. Not that they didn't take it seriously before, but it's like you can actually, there's a different way to monetize it. Like you could sell them as NFTs, which probably is going to happen soon. And I mean, it already is happening. Some impressions over the past year. There's a lot of scams in the NFT space because there's a lot of scams everywhere in the world. And it's like there's an opportunity to make money. So people are going to jump in and try and do that. Now, that's not my play. I don't want to do that. Not interested. I want to create something real. I want to create something substantial for humanity, right? As a human being, I want to contribute in that way. Be aware, but there's also a lot of beautiful artwork, genuine people creating real projects, and I think time will tell as the space matures a little bit. There's going to be some really incredible companies and businesses coming out of the Web3 space, and also artists, because what I learned is that for a while I was trying to compete with profile pictures like the PFP projects, 10K drops, and here I am doing one of one artists, and I'm like trying to like compare, and I'm like trying to figure out where I fit. And what I've realized is there's a difference. There's different branches of the NFT space, and I am an artist, and that's what I want to do. I want to be an artist. I want to be a fine artist. You can call it fine art, whatever. I want to be an artist, right? I am an artist. So I've had to continually remind myself of that, to sort of stand my ground as an artist and create art as what I do naturally, what I find benefits me, where I feel like I can add value. And what I was thinking about recently is like there's been so many profile picture project drops like over the last year, like so many projects coming out. That space is kind of getting flooded, and now it's like there's still artists out there doing these sort of smaller boutique one-of-one collections slowly growing. And I think that's kind of a niche in itself that's starting to emerge. So I'm hoping that a lot of attention is going to start shifting onto that so that I can sell and make some big money. I'm kind of being sarcastic, but not really. Like, I want to make money as an artist, right? That's why I'm in the space. No shame in that. Just, yeah, remember, like, if you're an artist, I think everyone has their own unique thing to add to the NFT space. So I would say stick to what your thing is, and find a way to do that, and find a way to make it work. So that's what I'm doing with art. You know, all my projects are very art forward, and I'm pushing that because I think Web 2 and Web 3 should work together. Traditional art, digital art, and NFT art, there should be a coming together. As an artist, it's my job. This is what I realized. This is like a aha moment for me as an artist. If you judge someone else's art, you're closing yourself off from that type of expression. You're like putting a wall up. Now, as an artist, my goal is to be open and free and expansive in my expression. So it's important for me not to judge other people's art, because then I shut myself off. I limit myself. I limit my capability, right? There's people coming into the space saying, oh, NFT art, and like holding their nose up. They're closing the door on that opportunity. And they're closing the door on so many brilliant artists and influences in that particular space. When I was in art school, I was like, there was this like kind of high art that was sort of pushed, and anything like wildlife art was like, no, that's not real art, or illustration is not real art. Are you kidding me? There's just so many incredible illustrators in this world, and that are killing it and making developed really good businesses around that creativity. And don't judge other people's art, because then you're cutting yourself off from doing it and learning. I've made my living doing wildlife art, even though it was kind of seen as not real or high art. It's like, come on, are we over that yet as a humanity? Like, let's just get over that. All art is real art. Like, okay, next. So yeah, just watch where you judge other people's art, because there could be something there for you that could really be beneficial for you. So just be open, do your best. I know I still work on that. All right, balance. This is important for me. I had to learn this because like the NFT market is 24/7. People from all around the world are participating, you know, and that's the first time I've kind of been exposed to that kind of market. So there's this tendency to kind of always be checking prices and stuff, and it's exhausting. It takes too much of your attention. I'll speak for myself, my attention away from what I really want to be doing, because I think it's in moments it's better to literally just sit there and breathe and be here and not be focused on your phone or checking prices constantly. So for me, it's been a lesson of balance, learning balance, how much time to spend in the NFT space. The financial component to NFTs is massive. People are there to make money. You see these huge projects blowing up, see articles of artists making tons of money, people making tons of money. That is like speculation. That's based on speculation. That's based on flipping NFTs, people wanting to make money. And that's what's sort of driving this world, of course. So people are flooding in to make money, and that's just how it is. You know, a lot of good art just no one sees it because it's not necessarily profitable. But I think that kind of art, those artists that are really in it, that are dedicated to their craft, they're gonna eventually over time, that is going to be around. They're not in it to just make money and leave. I mean, I hope it's still around. I mean, I hope for the sake of humanity that kind of art eventually becomes what we seek out because it's adding real value beyond financial value. I'm not saying financial value is not real. I'm just saying there's other dimensions of value that get overlooked. So no judgment there either. Like, people are there to make money and flip NFTs, and I've flipped NFTs to make money, so I'm doing it too, right? It's driving the market. Before I get into how my collection grew, I'm gonna go back and I just want to talk about balance. When I first got into the NFT space, I've experimented. I've been all across the board, from literally tweeting 20 times a day to tweeting once a day. And when I say tweeting, I mean marketing. Like, I'm there to market. Yes, I'm engaging in the community, and I'm learning how to engage in the community in a meaningful way. But I found that it can be tiring, it can be exhausting. Like, you've heard of burnout. If you are just on it too much and it's like not fulfilling you, it's like taking your energy away. So I've had to learn to balance myself in the NFT space and to relax. Like, the space is not going to disappear. My opportunity is not going to disappear. I'm looking 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So that's one thing I've had to learn about. So if you're getting into the NFT space, that's one thing I'd be aware of. Like, how much do you want to actually spend? Try and find something that's comfortable and natural, that is beneficial and supports you. That's at least what I'm doing, because I found forcing my project out there doesn't really support me, and I can't sustain it. And that's not what I want to do. It's not how I want to experience myself, because it doesn't create a me that I'm enjoying, and so it affects other areas of my life. So I've really had to focus on not just doing what everyone else is doing because they're doing it and shouting it from the rooftops, like they're having all this success and all that. It's like, I really need to remind myself that I've got to find a way that works for me, and not to try and make it work really quickly, but to just be patient and realize that, this space is going to be here a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So I want to talk a little bit about how I actually grew my collection and got to where I did now. I was going to do these one-of-one drawings, and I was going to post them. And I started initially listing them at 0.1. It was about $360, I think, at the time. I was basing the pricing off of kind of the traditional art market. My pricing in traditional market is much, much, much higher than what it is in the NFT space. But the big draw for me in the NFT space was royalties on secondary sales forever, because then you're making passive income as an artist, and that to me was fascinating. I sold a couple after my first 2 weeks. I think I was about 6 or 7 pieces in, and a collector came and bought 2 pieces. And they've since bought more. I think they've got 4 or 5 now, which is awesome, because that's showing that I am adding long-term value, because collectors aren't just leaving. They're seeing that what I'm doing is adding value enough where they're going to buy something again from me. So it's really cool when I get collectors that come back and buy again. After those first 2 pieces, I didn't sell any until I think I was on number 20. I was thinking, maybe I should lower my prices, because I saw a lot of artists lowering their prices, or even doing free launches and generating interest and getting people buying into their project and getting different voices talking about the art and sharing their art, and that's kind of how they get traction. So that's sort of what I was looking at, lowering my price to sort of get the project moving, get the artwork into more hands. Lowered the price to $30, and I was like, I don't know if this is the right move. It was $50 or something like that. But I just started promoting the work, and it was literally the next day I sold one after I did that, and I was really excited about even the $50. It wasn't even about the money, it was about the sale. It was about the artwork going into someone's collection, and they have that, and they connected with that artwork. So I was like, okay. And not only that, but I remember when I did that, I also decided I was going to dedicate 1 week to just marketing, because my whole thing as an artist was 80% of the time I'm doing my art, 20% of the time I'm marketing. Now, I've learned through working with NFTs to balance that out a little bit more, where now I'm looking at more of a 50-50. 50% of the time I'm creating art, 50% of the time I'm marketing and doing other stuff related to the business side of it. It seems to be a more beneficial balance. 80-20 is almost no one ever sees the art, because you're not spending any time marketing it. I would say for artists out there to really look at that that ratio and how much time they spend creating the art versus sharing the art or promoting the art. Maybe it doesn't have to be 50-50. It could be, 60-40 or whatever. But 80-20 was a little bit too imbalanced. But I decided to dedicate a week to marketing this project and sharing and talking about the story and educating people on who I am and my artwork. I sold a piece every day that week, and I had sold like 6 or 7. And I ended up actually posting a video on TikTok, and OpenSea DM'd me and like, hey, do you have a link to this project? And I was like, yeah, it's on my Twitter, here it is. And they retweeted it, and all the pieces I had available sold out in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I think I had like 30 pieces available at that time, and they all sold out, and then they started selling on the secondary. And that was, I don't necessarily want to call it an artificial pump, because it happened organically. I didn't pay anybody to do it. OpenSea retweeted me to their audience, but there's a huge audience there. And so they kind of like went into the project and they bought all the pieces, and then there was kind of like that FOMO happening, and there was a little pump in the project, and the price went way up, and I made some money, and I sold a bunch of NFTs, and that was the first like surge of my project. And that's the only real like big surge I've had in the project, which was really cool. I got a lot of new collectors from that. It really gave me confidence in the project, so it did help. That's when I realized supply and demand is a real thing that's important to consider, because after that, I didn't have enough momentum to keep the attention on the project. So just because the price went up didn't mean that the price was going to stay up, because there was no demand. It was like people's attention in the NFT space just goes from one thing to the next, where they're gonna, make some money and then they move on. Of course, people stayed, and I actually made some good connections, and I got some real genuine collectors and people that have stayed in touch with me from that little push in my project. So that's really cool. I've realized, okay, and it's important for me to build up a base of collectors, find a model that is sustainable, that's going to keep the attention on me. I don't want just a quick surge of people coming in and then disappearing. That's not sustainable. I want a steady growth. I want steady attention on the project, and that's sort of my vision now. Like, how do I create that? So since then, I've continued making drawings, one-of-one drawings, and I found what really is working for me right now is I just create a piece of art and I drop it the next day, and I share it. Here's the new art, here's the new drop, but I just do one at a time, naturally, as I create. And I'm up to 76. I think I sold like 10 pieces in February, which has been awesome. And I've been slowly raising my price. So I'm at 0.033. So I'm like up to about $100 per NFT. And I've been selling them like at that price somewhat consistently, which is good. I don't put a ton of time into like spending my time on Twitter marketing the project in a way that's not healthy for me. So I'm very focused on creating something slowly. Like, that's how nature works. A tree grows slowly, it establishes its roots. So I'm okay with that. And I think that's just going to be my flow and my style in the space. And I'm hoping that I can create something real and substantial. So yeah, I had a good February, and then I actually sold one the other day, my newest piece. All my new pieces have sold, which has been really cool. And the evolution of the art is really cool for me. Although I'd done some digital art in the past, when I entered the NFT space and decided to do this Genesis project, which is like my introduction to the space's introduction to my art, I went full digital. I bought an iPad, and I've been drawing everything on Procreate. And so to see my evolution as an artist in a new medium has been fun, and it's only getting better, and I'm learning the program, I'm learning the medium. So it's been really cool to see the expression open up and expand for me as an artist. First goal is to get to 100, and we'll see what happens after that. I might stop there. I might keep going. Maybe I'll do additions after that, because right now they're all one-of-ones. So if you want to get in the one-of-one first 100 pieces, just follow me on Twitter and watch for my drops. You can buy on secondary. The people that have collected my work have held the floor price really, really well. So I guess the question now is, would I recommend this space for artists? And I absolutely would. If you're curious about it, do it for sure. I'm not one of those people that is shouting from the rooftops that NFTs are going to change the world, because people are going to change the world, not NFTs. It's what we do with the NFTs as human beings. So, but I would recommend it if you're curious as an artist to do it. Yeah, and it's not about NFTs are better than traditional art or traditional art's better than NFTs. There's room for everything, and I think there's a way for these worlds to interact in a meaningful way. So yeah, if you're an artist, explore the space, check it out. Honestly, buying art from other artists and buying into projects, I got to see more closely how they market, and I've learned so much from watching other artists in the space. So if anything, it's a great education on marketing. If you're an artist thinking about getting into NFTs, I would recommend doing it just for that aspect, that you learn marketing. Like, you're getting great examples of artists like really killing it with marketing. All right, so that's it. That's my take on NFTs after being in the space for 1 year as a fine artist or traditional artist moving into the NFT space. I still do my traditional art. I still work on my carvings and selling galleries, but I am also very keen on the NFT space still and participating and creating artwork, because for me, it's about the artwork. Like, there's got to be a creative component for me. So I would recommend for artists to check it out and people to check it out, at least as an experiment test. Do your own research, right? Signing off.